please welcome Mr. Tim Robey from the Telegraph. Thank you, Tim.
Thanks, Elliot, and thanks for having me. It's an honour to be here. I have some familiar faces to welcome up here. First of all, though, I have the filmmaker, Gina Lazarowich. Next we have, excuse me, my voice seems to be slightly going. We have Kas Baker and Emily Seal. Now they've put 6 chairs out, but my understanding is, last but very much not least, we have Krow. And Astoon as well. Astoon. So obviously I haven't met any of these guys, but having seen the film 2.5 times, I feel as though I know you a little bit, and quite a lot about what's been going on with you. But I thought we'd start with you, Gina. How did you get to know them all, and when did you first realise there was a film here?
Well, the story is that Lisa Krow's mum reached out to me. He had come out, she was incredibly supportive of him, and they wanted to do one last photo shoot in his female body. And they approached me because I'm also, in my day job, as a photo producer. And so they said, can we do a photo shoot? And I was talking to them, I said, this is, of course, absolutely amazing. And then I thought about it for the night, and I'm like, this is quite incredible, because Krow and I had also talked about, well, wow, I wonder if you could model as a male actor, sort of off of, he said he'd like to try, but let's just start this transition first, right? And so I came back to them the next day and I said, well, will you let me follow you, this journey? And he said, okay, but I have my first testosterone shot in like a month. So the plan was to do this photo shoot before he started the first testosterone shot, and then we had to shoot. I mean, I had to shoot from before, so it was like quick. Put this, shoot together, put a crew together, and there was one problem: I've never directed before. So I had to figure that out. So I say this is my transition too of becoming a director, and it was a quite daunting task. No funding. How I met Kas and Emily is Kas's mother, Nancy, who was in the film, was my kid's teacher, the favorite teacher in all of the district. And she had actually, ironically, we went to talk about my daughter's math, and we ended up talking about her son's transition for 3 hours with your teacher in elementary school. That never happens, and Nancy and I have been extremely close ever since. And so I approached, Nancy to say I really wanted to reach out to Kas to have this sort of juxtaposition of somebody who has transitioned for a while as the mentor, to bring it in as a different, here we have somebody starting, here we have somebody that has already gone through the journey. If Krow had any questions and so on and so forth. And then of course I met the beautiful Emily through that process, and they so amazingly allowed me to shoot their wedding.
So you in fact brought these guys together as friends, the Kas and Krow.
Yeah, absolutely. We had, it was more of a mentorship to begin with, and they connected through music. Krow is starting his music, and, so they talk music, and so there's just a whole musicality and fashion and everything. And then, of course, Ashton, the best friend, it's really cool that these two have been best friends since grade 4, which I love.
So it's such a warm, hopeful, encouraging film, I feel. But I'm wondering, when you guys were approached and you were talking about doing it, did you have any trepidation about, putting yourselves on show, especially Krow, because of the amount that, we see of what you go through? Did you have any worries about that?
At first, absolutely. My biggest fear was that as soon as I am out on camera as a trans man, I will only be seen as a trans man. That is always going to be a label that is associated with me. I will never be just another man that's going about their day, doing their job, whatever. So at first I was very hesitant about that because I know that in the community, for trans men especially, for trans women it's a little more relaxed, but a lot of trans men face a lot of judgment. And being outed is, as we say, when you're called out as being transgender, that is a very big fear within the community. So to kind of come to the terms that, you know what, it's more important for people to be educated about the process of transitioning and what it actually is like for people like me, and to help people kind of see that there's someone that they can relate to, and hopefully save lives. That was kind of the biggest push of, you know what, this documentary needs to happen. So.
From your point of view, how did you feel about the story in a way?
I honestly didn't, when Gina asked me, a big conversation that came up was talking about the big picture and what the necessity was to provide information for both trans youth as well as families supporting their youth, or anybody really going through transition. To be honest, when Gina approached me, I didn't really think about what my life would kind of be like with taking part in this. It was more of an immediate like, wow, this could be a really cool thing to be a part of, like, absolutely. And then we just kind of adjusted and went with it as it developed.
One thing I really like near the end of the film, Krow, is when you say quite openly, I now identify as a gay man, more, and hitting that phrase, it sort of suddenly clicked into place for me. Then also you have the scene together where you talk about your different sexual orientation, which I think is going to be very, very interesting for a general audience to kind of take that point of view on board. And I'm wondering whether those are the sort of conversations you'd already had, perhaps, when you met, or, you know, you already talked about that kind of stuff. How well did you know each other when those scenes were being shot?
When those scenes were being shot, that's when we met each other.
That's the first
That was the first time.
We had
All those
very
conversations were original.
We had a very brief, hi, my name is, and then Gina was like, okay, don't talk, we want to catch all of it on camera, so we like awkwardly sat in chairs and like looked at each other. And then we got all of that just on camera as is, so.
That's fantastic. So I think the Louis Vuitton show was about a year ago, right? And since then, you were the talk of the fashion press when that happened. But can you tell us, in the last year, how things have been going on that score, on the kind of modelling score, and what's been happening?
Since then, I have worked for Louis Vuitton for 3 separate shows, one of their campaigns, which has been amazing. I've worked for brands like Alexander McQueen, Hayter Ackerman, Balmain, just some incredible brands. I've been on the cover of Vogue 3 separate times, GQ, Gentleman's Quarterly, so very masculine magazines and so many more, and it's just been incredible because a lot of the magazines, a lot of the runway shows, I've been the first transgender male to be a part of it, and seeing how much the fashion industry is supporting trans rights and bringing representation to the community, that we are still just people like everyone else, is incredible.
I've got a question for you other guys, Ashton and Emily. Have you had a chance to see the film already with other audiences, and what kind of responses have you heard from people, you know, in going on the road with the film, if you like?
We've actually seen it, well, I've seen it twice before this, and the reception that I've gotten is mostly people saying that they think they know me because they've seen me on screen, and that's happened like 5 separate times, which I think is really funny. I'm glad I come through that strong. And I don't know, a lot of people really want to talk to me about their kids that are trans. A lot of people really want to talk to me about just people they know that might be trans, and they're trying to ask me questions about like, how should I approach this person, this and that, which is really powerful. I don't by any means have all the answers, but I'm, you know, honored to be asked those questions at all. And being here is completely mind-blowing. I did not expect that filming for 3 days with my best friend would land me at Raindance Film Festival, but here we are. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I've seen it about 2 or 3 times at this point, and each time I think I pick up more and more. But the big thing that I've seen is people are so interested in learning about more and more about the transgender community, and especially how to be a support and an ally. And that's really a huge message in this film, is just how to support them. Like, I love Kas, and I can't even imagine the inner struggle that he went through, but I can support him and love him and try to understand, and I think that's a huge message in this film. So.
I'm going to throw it open in a second to the audience, think of questions to ask, but I wanted to ask Gina first. Since your transition into filmmaking, what else have you now been kind of getting stuck into, and do you have other projects that you can tell us about?
This was a doozy for me, especially the first time and no funding. So if it wasn't for my amazing husband, my executive producer, and thank God we shot it over 3 years. And so we were able to fund, because we got turned down from all funding, all 5 applications. I'm not bitter. And then, Janice at WAG, Denise, who brought us, so we have this amazing UK connection, and it's just amazing. So Janice then went to Out TV Canada, and Out TV came on in the last year, and thank goodness, because that got us to Paris and got us to finish it. So I look at all the credits in movies, and I'm like, oh, I was the PA. I still am running hard drives. I'm driving over town. It's so much work. It's so daunting when there's no funding. And to do it all yourself, I needed, it was the learning curve for me too. And I have a lot in my head. I have a couple things, but I kind of need to get through the film festival. We've been, this is the first and the most amazing platform, and I was kind of like, if we only get Raindance, I'm happy, but luckily there's been other ones that are popping up, and they're actually reaching out, thanks to Raindance, reaching out to me via email and asking me to submit. So we've got about another couple of months of going to some different film festivals around the world. And that's important to me, because I really want the world to see this movie, to get this message out. That's the most important thing to me, is just for people to see it, because in my cisgender heterosexual world, the sub-story that has come to the surface has been my friends, people I don't know. They come up to me and they say, Gina, I never knew, I get it now. And so if we can, from this film, not only help kids, let them look at Krow and go, now we've got a trans male icon to look up to, who's walking the runways, and we've got Kas, who's just living as a male every day and having just an amazing love affair with his wife and living just a normal life. But we're also now educating, which is such a huge honor and privilege for me that this has come out of this project, so I'm quite honored. And yeah, I'm always negotiating stuff. There's always a negotiation happening, so yes.
Thank you. Right, we're going to throw it open. We've got probably 5 or 10 minutes before these guys have to escape, because they're playing. Winter Youth are playing at the next thing, the after party. So anyway, we'll go to you. There's a man over there. There's a mic coming down to you, if you just hang on.
Yeah, so a question for Krow. One of the things that really comes across is the freedom that you seem to have in front of the camera. And the question is, like, having gone from the identity where you started to the identity that you are now, you've got an experience of a fluidity of perception that's very unusual. And so I'm wondering if you might be combining that perceptual fluidity with your experience to transition maybe into the acting world as well as the modeling world.
For me, definitely I love having that kind of duality and that balance. And I actually have been interested in acting before. I did as you probably saw in the film, that my job before and during the transition was doing background acting. I had like a small cameo in the Power Rangers movie, which was actually really fun. But I think that right now I'm going to be focusing on modeling and getting my music career started. But I definitely have an interest in acting once I feel like I'm at the level that I can give my best to the people who want to see me. So
Fantastic, I think you'd be brilliant.
thank you so much.
Thanks for that. More questions? Yeah, there's someone right at the back up there.
First of all, congratulations to Gina for finding such a photogenic group of subjects I've ever seen. But other than that, my question is, you're all musicians, so does music mean something if you're in a transition phase? Is it a way you feel that you can communicate and speak, or is it just a coincidence that everyone up here is a musician?
Do you want to start first? You're like
Perhaps,
the one that's working on your music career.
I think it was all really a big coincidence. For sure that, you know, all four of us are able to kind of create and just kind of emote in a musical sense. I know, and I think, you know, part of going through a lot of struggle is finding an outlet to be able to communicate that and to really work your way through everything that you're feeling. And I know that for myself, music was something that I turned to kind of when I was kind of in the depths of all of my struggles. And I know that for both Emily and I, that is what we write a lot about, is kind of like, we always like to say we write sad songs, because it's what helps us get that sadness out so we can kind of work emotionally through things. And I think it really was, it was a really cool thing to walk in and meet Krow for the first time and be able to talk about music, because before meeting Krow I didn't know that he had any interest in music. So really there was a cool coincidence that came out from that, and Ashton down the road as well. So yeah, really cool coincidence.
For me, ever since I was like 5 years old, I was dancing on the deck to Backstreet Boys. So my dream was always to be like on the stage as a singer, giving it my all. But I definitely think that by the time I was writing music was that time when I was going through the bullying and kind of figuring out who I am on the inside and how I'm presenting myself. So music kind of helped me escape from that and really write out how I'm feeling from the perception of myself, or pretend like I'm talking about someone else to get that kind of separation. So definitely music just flowed into my life, but it always started from the core of my being of just wanting to be a singer for sure.
I just want to add in for Kas and Emily that was their first performance ever on stage, live. And now 4 years later, they're releasing their first album. Emily cringes a little bit. I said, suck it up, Buttercup. It's your first performance. Be proud. So that's pretty amazing. Their first time on stage in our film.
More questions on this side. Oh, there's two people down here, both of you. Don't quite want to say these two.
So first of all, I just want to say thank you, because you obviously all poured your heart and souls into that film. It was very obvious and very moving, so thank you for that. So I'm from a small town in Canada as well. And yeah, yeah, small town Canada. And my brother was severely bullied actually in elementary school and high school. And actually my mom is still there. I still go home all the time. I was just wondering if either any of you either still live in your hometown or your family still do. And I'm wondering if you ever cross any of those bullies anymore, or any of those people from your small towns, if they know about this film, or what their reactions have been, or if you know of anyone's reactions. It's a big question.
When high school was the worst time of my life. I hated high school so much. And I feel like when I transitioned, there was a really big division that I put into my life, where it was like, that was before, and I will not think about that, and I have very little people that I still talk to about from high school. And then, you know, this is the start of my new life as male. The really cool thing is that through the years, and also through the documentary, and you know, the world of social media and being online, I've had some really cool interactions, because I still live in my hometown. And so I've had some really cool interactions where I'm always scared that people aren't going to recognize me. It's going to be this awkward, like, I know you, but you probably don't recognize me. But through this documentary and also just being more vocal, it's brought some really cool interactions where I'm talking to people I haven't talked to in 10 years, 11 years. And they've been really genuine, thoughtful conversations. So one thing that I think is so cool is there's certain people I've walked into situations where I tense up with anxiety and I don't know how I'm gonna make it out. And I feel like it's been insanely healing being able to have conversations with people that used to give me anxiety or people that I would just automatically shy away from, and come out of it feeling inspired and invigorated and feeling like I've just had a really sincere, genuine, interaction with that person. So it's been really cool and healing in that way.
For me, I did move out of my hometown, but only to a town that's slightly in a different place than that. But I haven't really run across any of my past bullies. I did run across one person when I was doing the female modeling, and she actually had to serve me at a store, so I casually mentioned to my mom while I was shopping there that, oh yeah, I have to get ready for going to whatever place I was actually going to, and talking about the modeling, so I was kind of definitely rubbing it in her face. And it felt real good. But aside from that, I haven't run across anyone that I know that was from elementary school or high school, really, aside from Ashton. And I feel like if I saw those people, I had no kind of connection to them. So especially for the bullies, there wouldn't really be any reason to talk to them. And I feel like I probably would still not acknowledge them, just because it's like, I have a right to the pain that I felt, regardless of how they felt when they were bullying me. Even if they had a problem, they were taking it out on me, and I didn't deserve that, so there's no reason for me to need to forgive them unless that's how I want to feel. So, yeah.
Ashton, do you have anything to add on that?
Well, I didn't actually physically run into anybody that I knew in school, but a couple people I think kind of maybe recognized my photo on social media or something and kind of sent me a message like, hey, are you who I think you are? And some of those people were really nice, and some of those people were like, okay. The weirdest one, like it wasn't weird, it was just nice, but it was weird in the sense of like I would have never expected this particular person. They messaged me and they were like, oh, are you so-and-so and are you transgender? And I said yes, and they said, oh, cause me too. Can we have a coffee sometime? And we did, and it was nice. It was like, yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, we'll take your question as well if that's right.
I also love the film, really, really beautiful, really touching. I think this question is more directed to Krow. I've been trying to make this documentary, trying to find my birth parents, and I've been doing a lot of what you've been doing, which is kind of like the vlogging and talking to your phone, I'm guessing. And I'm just wondering how you managed to get your parents to be so open in front of the camera, and how difficult and how long it took to get it out of your mom. My parents, my dad's like press media trained, so he's just a wall, but I'm wondering how you managed to do that.
We should say we have Crow's mum here in the audience. We'd like to thank her.
My mom here. I think that my mom has always been camera shy, as you can probably tell. But for her, supporting me with this documentary was more important for her than her anxiety around cameras. So even though she was worried about how she might be perceived and how the documentary might go in the end, because you never know how it's actually going to turn out, you just always hope for the best. And it turned out absolutely incredible. But she realized that this documentary and supporting me was more important than what she felt inside about anxiety for the cameras. So I was really lucky with that. I hope that you can get through to your dad and have him support you in your dreams. So, good luck.
We have overrun, unfortunately, so we're going to have to call it a night there and get these guys to their gig. I just wanted to finish by saying that this film really deserves a massive afterlife beyond this, so I think everyone should get out there and tell people about it, and hopefully have other chances to see it on platforms such as?
Out TV in Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and South Africa. WAG Entertainment is, we don't know, we're taking care of the rest. And follow us please on Krow's Transformation on all platforms. And please share. It's really important that we get this message out to the world and for everybody to hear it. And hopefully we can help some kids and some teens and some adults and change some minds. So thank you all for coming and watching our film. We're so honored. Thank you.
Thank you, Gina, and thank you.